What's up, War Rapport family? Tonight, we're talking a little Auburn O-line. Will the O-line be better at run blocking? We're going to talk about it. Also on the docket, Dylan Cardwell and Alan Flanagan are returning to Auburn basketball as they have withdrawn their names from the draft. All this and more on tonight's Midweek Report. What's up? What's up? What's up? It's Wednesday night. I'm here with Ike Jones and B Will. C-Dub has the night off. Well, he might join us later, but he's not here right now, so I'm taking hosting duties. This is your midweek rapport. Guys, if you're watching this video right now, do us a favor. Share this video on social media at the War Rapport on Twitter, Instagram, all the socials. Also, if you're watching, do us a favor. Hit like and subscribe. We're the War Rapport. The likes and the subscribes help us get our numbers up, get our weight up, keep this thing going. Fellas, how are we doing tonight?
Pretty good.
All right. All right. So before we get into it, I'm going to toss it to Isaac to do a few announcements. Tell people about becoming a patron.
Listen, man, you all already know what the business is. Patron membership means you get advanced access to interviews. Well, just becoming a member gets you that. But patrons mean you get a little something special that we're able to put on top of that. Stuff like, film breakdowns and all that sort of thing. And we've got more of that patron exclusive content coming to you real soon. But if you're a member at all, then you already know what the business is on this. Part 1 has been live for everyone who's not a member. Tomorrow, we make part 2 live of the Brian Harsin interview. You guys have been doing a really great job on social media sharing that. That video has been doing really good numbers. Great conversation there. Part 2 of that is going live for everyone else. If you're a member, you already have access to that. In addition to that, members right now have access to our interview, Building Rapport with one young Jayson Jones, defensive tackle for Auburn University. So that's live right now for the members. So you all can, as soon as you're done with this stream, go check out that interview that we had with him. So make sure that you go and check that out. We'll drop a little video promo for that here in just a minute. But outside of that, you do the duties and become a member. We are partnered with the Lee County Humane Society, so you all can make sure that you #save the puppies by going to the About section here on the YouTube or going to our website, thewarreport.com, and clicking on that GoFundMe. 50 cents on every dollar goes directly towards them to be able to do that mission. Tonight, we are always giving away stuff, and we are going to make sure that we do another giveaway tonight. We're going to give away a mug. Man, I forgot to put the correct thing in here. This says GWT2 Energy, but tonight, actually, this giveaway is sponsored by War Eagle Oil. I'm not going to give away the mug. I'm going to give away the AU t-shirt. War Eagle Oil actually is the sponsor tonight, so I'll make sure I get that corrected. We put this up next time. We do have a new giveaway sponsor. GWT2 Energy is going to continue to sponsor stuff, but we do have a giveaway sponsored tonight by War Eagle Oil. So we'll make sure we get that in on the next one. But #Get Your Weight Up still is the place that you need to go to be able to do that. Get your t-shirt tonight, and we'll make sure we do that giveaway proper like for you all. The Auburn Express is where you can find all of your podcast content. We are there giving you pod exclusive content. Make sure you are locked in right there, especially if you are on Apple devices, man. Our numbers are doing really well on Apple right now. We want to continue to climb those charts. So you make sure that you're rating us when you're getting all of that great content. But make sure that you are subscribed to that content so that when it's new, you know exactly when you're going to get that new content from us. So yeah, man, make sure you guys lock in with us there. That's all I got for right now. But again, we got a promo coming for y'all for that Jayson Jones interview. We'll hit y'all with that a little bit.
Yeah, listen. So as Ike said, we've had a lot of really interesting interviews lately. Players, coaches. Jayson Jones, defensive tackle transfer from Oregon, sat down with Ike and I to talk a little bit about the transfer process. Here's a little bit of that conversation. why Auburn. You made the switch. I know that's a difficult decision for a lot of athletes these days with the portal, but why'd you leave Oregon and why come to Auburn?
When it comes to inside the program, I see what Harson's trying to build, and on top of that, the strength training is amazing.
A big culture shift going from Eugene, Oregon to Auburn, Alabama. Robbie Ashford told us he complained about the lack of Chick-fil-A's in Eugene.
Well, I mean, it feels good to have Chick-fil-A. I'm joking, but
tell us first impressions of the defensive line coach, Coach Brumbaugh. Can you talk about Coach Brumbaugh? Like, what kind of guy is he in the room and all that kind of
one thing about Coach Brumbaugh, he really cares about you, no matter whether it's on the field or off the field. Like he calls me, we chat here and there.
In your estimation, based on what you've seen this spring, who's the fastest guy on this team this year?
Almost all the DBs are pretty fast, to be honest.
All right, I'm not gonna let you off the hook. If you got to put $500 on somebody to win a foot race, who you putting your money on, Jason?
You got to give up. You got to give up an NIL check.
Obviously, don't bet on anything, but
when I feel like when he's focused and when he really wants to run, then yes, he'll run fast. But.
Great conversation with Jayson Jones. Fantastic young man. I think it's clear the type of athlete that Brian Harsin and his staff are going out to get. Smart, strong, fast, physical. I think he's going to do really well here. So watch out for that interview. Building reports drop on Thursdays. If you are a patron member, it's already available to you. So go to that Building Report playlist and look for the Jayson Jones interview. Fellas, tonight we're talking a little bit of offensive line. Run blocking last year was not good. And our whole O-line missed A-Day just about because they did not get their weight up. They were hurt. What do we think about O-line this year and how big a storyline it's going to be in 2022? We've got Zach Calzada, who played behind a very beleaguered O-line last year at Texas A&M. We've got Robbie Ashford, who can move, and we've got TJ Finley, who is not as mobile as the other quarterbacks, so he may need a little bit more protection than the others or quicker release than the others if he cannot buy himself time like they can. How important is run blocking going to be to holding teams off from teeing off on our O-line and going after the quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is going to be paramount that we are able to move the ball successfully on the ground. Even if they're going to be loading the box, there are things that we can do from a play calling standpoint to help that out. But you just gotta, sometimes it's third and short, right? And throwing the ball is just not that you got to man up and you got to push some people off of the line of scrimmage every now and then. Hopefully an additional year in the strength and conditioning program. We've talked to the athletes that are here in that program. And we've got people saying that there's PRs happening all over the place, right? They're doing their personal records, meaning they've gotten stronger year over year this year. Hopefully that translates to a strengthened ability to be able to just get pushed in the trenches, because that was really the big thing that we were having an issue with from a run blocking standpoint, is that we weren't getting movement. There's a lot of stalemates happening. And for the run game to be effective, you need to reestablish where that line of scrimmage is, right? Like if it's at the 30-yard line, it needs to be 30 plus by the time you're disengaged from that block. And if the defensive line is either stalemating or they're winning that and they're reestablishing it in our offensive backfield, then that's going to be a problem. That means that your running back is going to have to make a move behind the line of scrimmage, or the first place that they're going to receive contact is going to be a linebacker who's shooting the gap, or a defensive back. So it's going to be important to be able to be a well-balanced offense, that we be able to win first downs, second downs, whatever that's going to be, wherever the run play is called, and so that we're not predictable offensively. And I think that's the problem that we had a lot last year, is we became more predictable because defenses did not fear our ability to get push in the run game, and then our offense became, all right, well, we'll figure out how to stop this underneath stuff and dare you to throw it over the top. We weren't proficient at that, so it's really hard to move the ball. So hopefully this year, more strength and conditioning will allow us to get more of that push and be more of the type of offense that Brian Harsin and Coach Keys want to run.
Yeah, look, Brian, how big a jump is this? How big a jump is this from what we saw last year to what we're going to need this year to be successful?
Unlike every other aspect of our team where marginal improvement would be significant, I think this is the one where we need significant improvement in this area in order to be a really good team. The offensive line, we graded out fairly well. And Mike, you've got all the analytics. You make sure to tell us every other show that we actually graded out fairly well in pass blocking. Run blocking was another story, and it was fairly obvious. And you could see with the play calling, maybe about a third of the way through the season, they were trying to mix it up. They were trying to call intermediate passes, long passes, runs to the outside, runs to the inside, short passes to the running backs. Well, Shivers in particular, he was the person who kind of held that duty, but they had to do a little bit of everything because we weren't good enough at anything to do it when we wanted to do it. And that's still the case as far as we know, that we think that we have improved across the board. Just again, the solidarity with the team is going to be a factor. Like Ike said, physically and mentally, the PRs that are going on, the buy-in, that's going to make a difference. We've got to be great at something. Maybe we've got the horses. Maybe we don't. Time will tell. Marginal improvement on the offensive line would mean hopefully we hold pat with how well we were able to pass block, but we get more push run blocking. And it doesn't have to be. I think about the first down that Tank didn't get trying to run in the Iron Bowl. You get a little more push. What did he miss? He got pulled down from the back when he needed like a yard and a half. I mean, we're not talking about a lot in that way. Now, it does take improvement on a person-to-person basis, and that's probably what's so significant about run blocking and running the ball in general. I don't need just one dude to be good. I need 4 or 5 dudes to be good and them all to be good at the same time in order for this to work. You can have 4 guys doing their job on a play on the offensive line and one guy whiffs and now the whole play is busted. The offensive line is probably the hardest thing to get right because you have to have 5 guys working together in concert at the same time. The continuity is going to help. Having the same offensive line coach, having the in principle the same offense, all that's going to help. But we have questions, and I think it's fair to have questions about the guys that are here and that are returning. Are they physically up to the challenge of being difference makers and getting more push than they were able to last year? And I think that's a fair question because it's not just can you do it, because you're also coming off injury.
Right.
Your best, if you were healthy, may not be the best if you've had a significant injury. I mean, Brahms had surgery right after the season. We had what's his name? He transferred in from Akron. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But he claimed his COVID year. He's coming back, but he was injured last year. Yeah, Council was injured last year. Our significant Keandre Jones is probably the one guy who's like, no, he's a big hog molly. That's a big guy who can handle his own, and we've heard that from repeated sources. He graded out the best, I think, of all our offensive linemen in run blocking. However, I want confidence that not only is an offseason of you PRing going to help, but that your PR is good enough to hold us up in this conference playing against who we have to play against. I think there's a good chance that it is good enough for us to improve. How much? I don't know. I know it has to be significant because what I would like to do is, instead of just being able to run, is to be able to depend on it. Not just, oh, okay, well, Tank can get 5 yards a carry. No, how about Tank get 6.5? Like that's where I want to be. You know what I mean? I want to be able to just, put the quarter in, spin it, and know we're going to come up and be able to cash something out, because that's how powerful our O-line is. Because I think our backs probably aren't getting the respect that they deserve. I saw some preliminary running backs in the conference rankings, and Tank's never number 1, and that bothers me. He's never number 1 because part of it is how many tackles he's able to break on average over the course of a season, and a lot of it is that Tank is getting contacted sooner, so it's easier to get to him than it is to get to other backs. It just is. And even though those metrics sound like they grade out fairly well, he broke 3 and Tank broke 1. Yeah, but if more guys have an angle on Tank because our offensive line couldn't do enough, then it's easy to explain why he gets tackled and breaks less tackles, or he gets tackled more readily. So I want Tank to get his shine. And I want Jarquez to get his shine, man. I think we got some dogs back there in the backfield, and I don't think it's going to take the best run blocking O-line in the conference for them to be extremely productive. But I do think it's going to take significant improvement upon whoever those 5 guys are on the front, and I'm hoping that we see it this season.
Yeah, listen, we did a lot of film review last year, and I felt like Ike and I spent a good amount of time on social media arguing with people about how teams were loading the box against us.
Right.
And we were showing people during the film reviews there are regularly 8-man boxes stacked against this offensive line because they do not respect our ability to be able to pass down the field efficiently.
Yeah.
So they teed off and Tank, and those guys are having a hard time because you can only block 7 guys with 5 or 5 guys with 6. Like, you can only block overloaded so much.
Right.
And they spent a good portion of the season just under a lot of heat because we could not pass the ball down the field. Now, I believe that no matter who we start at quarterback, that person is going to have to help in this regard in some ways, because there are teams, I think, right out the gate next year, based on what we put on tape last year, they're going to take that same tactic. Let's tee off on Auburn and prove that they can beat us down the field. So, interesting conversation there with the O-line. Now, who's on O-line? Let's talk about who's on O-line. Ike, we got a graphic with the current O-linemen we can toss up here right quick.
Let's take a look at who is in the offensive line position right now. So, currently we've got, so this is actually something that I think is interesting. A lot of people on social media I've seen in chat rooms and such are talking about we're thin at O-line. We're thin at O-line. We do have a lot of bodies at O-line, right? Like now how stacked we are with talent in the O-line room, I don't know, but we definitely have a lot of bodies. The issue that you're going to see here, though, is how many of these guys are seniors. How many of these guys are juniors that are, NFL eligible guys running out of eligibility? But we've got a ton of guys here in the room, and we definitely could use some additional ones. So you see the names here, and you see the guys that we have that are returning, right? So we talked about Nick Brahms, right? So he's the anchor there at center. Jaleel Irvin has gotten some work at center, of course. But we've got a lot of returning starters. Keandre Jones, somebody that B. Will has talked about already. Alec Jackson is another guy who's gotten significant playing time. Austin Troxell there in that room. We've got the German Killian that's been gotten some work in there.
He filled in for Troxell when Troxell got hurt, right?
Right. Yeah. And I think he was good at pass blocking, not great at run blocking. But when we're talking about run blocking guys who can just get nasty, like, I don't know, Brendan Coffey's gotten a lot of playing time out there. I just don't know who are going to be the 5, right, that are going to step up and they're going to get in the trenches and be really nasty. There's a lot that's left to be determined about that. But again, this is the room as it exists right now. I didn't realize how tall Brendan Coffey was, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they've got some size. You're right. We're senior laden. They're going to have to go out. What I see here is that recruiting O-line should be of paramount importance, right? Like, because most of the guys that you see here are seniors, are the guys likely to start. I don't see really any underclassmen that will be starting on this line. There are no underclassmen that will be starting on this line this year. So between Brahms, Irvin, Alec Jackson, Troxell, Brandon Council, Killian, and Brendan Coffey, I think that's the meat of everybody who got time last year. Those guys are all upperclassmen, and we're going to have some holes to fill on offensive line. I'm looking for Nick Brahms to have a gangbusters senior year. He needs it.
He needs it. Absolutely.
He needs it, man.
So, I mean, listen, I was critical of Nick Brahms.
Rightfully so.
Previous. I think he improved last year, though. You heard him talk about this was the first time that he, like, concept wise, he was really understanding some things, which is crazy. Like, he understood film a little bit better. He was more prepared this year than he had been in those previous seasons to see the things that were coming against him. So another year of being able to do that, and in the strength and conditioning program, I think will do him good. But yeah, you're right. He needs to show something this season.
Yeah, there was, when we did that first film review with King for Chop It Up with a Pro, last year, and he would talk about how Brahms needs to find some ribs. There were just whole plays where he would not have touched anybody while Bo was running around in the backfield. So, yeah, and then from a strength and conditioning standpoint, I'll die on this hill, man. This O-line was built to do something very different than what they tried to do last year.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
it looked like we took a step back because physically they weren't up to the task of trying to run smash mouth run game. And, a lot of it was built around misdirection. It was built around fooled you, we're going this way. And when teams figured that out, even when we were running that system, the results were bad. They were really bad. We looked inept.
Yeah.
And now Harsin is trying to build a team that is built to physically overpower opponents. Like, it reminds me, those teams where we know what you're doing. We know what we're doing, but you're not going to be able to stop it because we're stronger than you, we're faster than you, and we're going to out-execute. That's what they're trying to do. Like, the old system was built around, hey, we may not be stronger, faster than you, but we can make up some ground.
Yeah,
if we
we're
can
going to
trick
out
you.
leverage you or
Yeah.
flavor you or things like that. But yeah, that's exactly what Georgia's formula for success was last year. It's like, okay, we're going to run the ball a bunch. Stop it.
That's it.
Stop us from running the ball.
Yeah.
And they're just going to rotate backs and they're just going to keep running it at you until your defense is too tired to absorb that contact play after play after play. And then when you commit more people down to the box, their quarterback was going to be accurate enough down the field to be able to burn your safety creeping up or your cornerback that's got his eyes in the backfield. That they did a really great job of playing old school football. We're going to have the best defense that college football has seen in years, and we are going to run the ball down your throat repeatedly every single game. And it worked. It worked all the way to a national championship in an era where people said that it couldn't happen anymore.
Right.
Like that brand of football does not win championships. People have been saying that for the past probably 10 years, that brand of football doesn't win championships. Georgia went out and said, all right, we'll see.
Yeah, here's our mid quarterback in our running game. That was the plan offensively. Here's Stetson Bennett, a great running game and a deep shot every once in a while.
And you know what?
With our 15 5 stars.
I was staunchly on the train of if a guy starts looking shaken or like the moment's too big for him, you pull him. Because I said that all year about Bo Nix. And then, of course, we catch all the slings and arrows, right? And then in the national championship game, Stetson Bennett, he had a pick that was kind of egregious. And I was like, oh, pull him. And then he comes back and wins the game. And then a couple people like, hey, I thought you said you'd pull him. I was like, yeah, well, I would if it was our quarterback because we don't have that defense to give me 10 strikes at the plate. But I guess if you Stetson Bennett with that defense, he was playing across from him. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a thing too about like understanding what rattles your quarterback too. Like not playing well is different than not being able to overcome poor play. Yeah. And some quarterbacks are just built a little differently where it's like a bad play or even a bad half isn't the thing. Like, I mean, look at what happened to us last year against Bryce Young. He was not having a good game. Like that Bama offense looked inept against our defense for 3.5 quarters. And that last quarter and a half in overtime, he was surgical. Now, I don't want to get into splitting hairs about missed calls and all that kind of stuff, but still, Bryce Young, when he had his opportunity to throw a touchdown to a guy, he couldn't have put that ball any better.
Right.
There is no other place he could have placed that ball exactly where he did. And it wasn't like he took a long time to decide that's where he was going with it either. Right. He took a drop and he was like, all right, I'm going to my guy right here. It's going to be open. This is where I'm going to put it. Either him or we're going home. So again, there's a difference between I'm not playing well and I am a mentally weak quarterback and I'm not playing well and hey, but if I got another shot, we still can win this thing.
Yeah. We've got to toughen up mentally. And I'm wondering in these first 2 games, I'll be watching to see whether this team has the belief that they can.
Yeah.
It seems like they're building a lot of that belief this offseason. And, I want to see more of it as it unfolds on the field, because by Penn State, they have to have it together. By Penn State, by game 3, your team, you're starting to be the team that you're going to be for the rest of the season. Like, how many teams do we see make significant turnarounds without significant changes in personnel midseason?
I mean, well, it's not that I don't agree that we need to have something together. I think we got rid of our undependable quarterback, and they kept theirs. Sean Clifford claimed his 5th year, and yeah, he played a hell of a game against us.
Yeah, his best game of the
unprepared.
year versus us.
And then I think they lost to Illinois in quadruple overtime, like 20-18 or something. So it's a huge difference when you got a guy that you can't trust. They were at home in their whiteout game, which I think the statistics we read leading up to that game, they stand a better chance of winning that game against whoever it is, even when it was Ohio State and Michigan and talented teams. That's their heave-ho. That was their ace in the hole as a whiteout at night, and that's a senior quarterback, and that was the best game they could possibly play. They're not getting that this time. They're here. And enough of the people on this defense remember what it was like to go up there and lose, and we still made the mistakes to lose that game. We did not just get outplayed in that game. So
right.
I don't think we have to be set in 100% who we're going to be by mid-season to beat them, because I don't think they're going to be that good. They lost Jaquan Brisker. They lost their all-world wide receiver who got drafted.
Jahan Dotson.
Good. Yeah, Dotson. So they're going to be replacing some stuff. And even though they've done a really good job of recruiting, you still got a mediocre dude pulling the trigger, and that gives me confidence in us.
Well, I hope he's mediocre game 3 is what I hope. I don't want to see 20 for 22 Sean Clifford again. That was painful. But the defense that we play will have something to do with that. And the run game, again, we're talking about O-line, we're talking about run blocking, whether our run game can keep their offense off the field. Sometimes your best defense is a good offense. And if you can run the ball, you can control the clock. And if you can control the clock, you can limit the amount of offensive possessions that a good offense has to score on you. And that is going to be the way. It felt like we couldn't do that last year. So the run-pass ratio was always way off because we get behind and then we can't run the ball. And then we're throwing a bunch. And instead of the ratio being at least 50-50, we've got 10 to 15 more passes than we have runs.
Yeah.
Because it's the only way to get back in the game. So the O-line is going to have to do better. The quarterback is definitely going to have to help with that. I think it's going to be all team effort. And I'm hoping that some of these building reports that we have coming to get some of these O-linemen into these interviews and ask them about the progress that they're making. I'd be very interested to hear from them about, hey, how does strength and conditioning go for you guys this offseason? Do you guys feel stronger? Do you feel like you're going to be able to get some push in the trenches? Do you feel like you're going to do the bullying instead of getting bullied this fall? We need to become bullies on the O-line. That's it.
And some of that is mentality, right? Like you hear guys, everybody knows I'm a big 49ers fan. So I've listened to George Kittle talk about his mentality when it comes to blocking. And he likes to go and push guys around. Like he gets pleasure out of knocking guys around out there, right? And just some people just have that mentality of like, you're not going to be physically better than me in this moment. And you just have to kind of have that, whether you're the strongest, fastest, doesn't really matter. It's like, okay, yeah, you can bench press a bunch of weight, but who's going to win in this moment right now? And it's going to be me. And I'm going to do this over and over again and just kind of demoralize you throughout the game. You kind of have to have that mentality. And the question is, have we built the dog in the offensive line that says, I'm not going to get whipped consistently this game? Right. It's going to be interesting to see. Like I said, I think they're building a team physically. They're building a team mentally, and they're going to need to build a team that can execute. I want to get to some of these comments here. We're at that point in the show where we get to comments. We try to save the comments until the end of a topic so that we can get through, but we definitely see your comments here. Infinite Auburn says, Auburn Express jumped 20 to 30 spots on May 31st on the football charts. I need a link to these charts you're talking about. Yeah.
Podcast numbers are really hard to track outside of your podcast. So I
Right.
would love to see it. It feels like everybody's got a different chart, but I accept any chart that says we're number one. Jason Hill says, been a while since I caught a live. Good to see you, fellas. Good to see you too, Jason. We disagree on a lot, but we appreciate you nonetheless. Sean Terry says, both interviews are awesome, guys. Speaking of the Harsin interviews. So if you are a patron member, both interviews are live for you. If you're not a patron member, you will get part 2 tomorrow at 9 a.m. So stay tuned for that. And if you're a patron member, you already have our next interview live for you. Jayson Jones, go check that out. Building rapport. Keydron friend says, I'm a member just because I like how y'all talk ball. I'm with y'all every week until y'all play my dogs. Oh, Georgia fans. Who let a Georgia fan in here?
No,
Who let
Keydron's
the
been a
dog
good.
in?
He's been a good member of the chat, man. He hasn't been in here talking crazy. He's not like that crazy Tennessee guy that jumps in here.
Oh man, yeah, the Tennessee definitely are the worst. But we appreciate you joining our live stream with us here. Jason jumps back in here and says he names the starting O line. He thinks Killian, Jaleel, Brahms, Jones, and Troxel. That's the starting O line as of right now. Cancel has a chance.
He's had a lot of injury issues,
Yeah.
right? So like, and then of course he was out for the spring. So it will be interesting to see what kind of role he plays this year. Again, he's one of those guys. He needs, if he plans on playing football beyond this, he needs a good year, right? Like regardless of his NFL aspirations, if he wants to go to, one of these developmental leagues, whatever it is, he needs a good year to be able to do that.
Right.
What about oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was thinking about Jeremiah Wright because he moved to defensive line. I think he came out of high school playing both defensive and offensive.
He did.
And I don't know if he came in here first. I think they moved him to defensive line his very first year here. But he can play both, and that's why they moved him back. He seemed to be, just kind of a remarkable athlete no matter what.
Right.
Physical enough to play defensive line, then that means you got to have the power to at least hold up on the offensive line. I wonder if he breaks into the rotation. And that's what I'm thinking out loud.
We just recently got a scoop on this. Jeremiah Wright is actually back in the defensive line group now.
Look at that.
Yes, he is.
All right.
Yes, he is.
So what that tells me, though, is their confidence in the guys that we have. So there's a couple of things that I think is very interesting. Our activity in the transfer portal, right?
Right.
And that move with Jeremiah Wright tells me everything I need to know about what Will Friend and the rest of this Auburn staff feel about the guys we already have in our room. Because now, and that's not to say that we didn't have any targets for offensive linemen or there weren't guys that we missed out on that they thought that they would want to bring in. But I do think it's very interesting that they had a guy in the room and they were like, you know what? We need you over here more than we need you here because I think we're solid here. It tells me a couple of things about defensive line, but it also tells me things about what the confidence level is of this coaching staff with our current offensive line and that they have not been in hot pursuit of a transfer guy to bring in and start.
Right.
So I'm expecting some big things. Will Friend has been notorious for being a developer of offensive line talent. And if he feels like those guys can get the job done, then
damn it, we're with them.
Yeah, listen, man, I definitely don't know better than Will Friend does about offensive line talent. And he has been in offensive lines or in offensive line groups that have been nasty, that have been run blocking oriented. So it's not like he doesn't know the position. So I do think that that's very interesting that Jeremiah Wright moved back over to the defensive line and they're riding with those guys that they currently have in the room. So I'm very interested to see how that happens or how that works itself out going into the season.
For sure. Listen, Zach says, going to be dump offs, no doubt. Hope Tank's hands are ready because he's going to be getting thrown to more than last year. So hope his hands are ready. Now, in our interview with Coach Harsin, he told us about a little game they play in practice called Make It, Take It. And it's 16 reps. And as long as you're completing passes, you get the whole 16 reps. But once you get an incomplete, your turn is over and the next quarterback comes in. This was a funny story. If you haven't seen that interview, obviously just a lot of great sound bites came from this. He said that it gets a little competitive where there are a bunch of checkdowns with guys trying to get all 16 reps. So I think Tank's getting to work in practice during Make It, Take It for sure. Going down the list here, DS Sorley says, I think if Brian Harsin keeps his job by the end of the year, his third year is the year we start to truly see the program benefit most from this coaching staff. Now, I agree with this, but I also agree, I think the third year is where we see how we truly did in recruiting as well, too.
Right.
So as much fuss is being made about recruiting and, we're not getting the 5 stars that everybody else is getting, you're going to find out how good these guys are at evaluating talent in year 3.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do that. I think it'd be really unfortunate for him to not make it to year 3. So that we could see what that looks like. So,
and I think it's going to have to be a disastrous year for that to not happen. Listen, I understand what all happened in the offseason this year, and I also understand the angst with how last season ended amongst the fan base. But I think this season is really going to have to be a disaster for Brian Harsin not to make it into year 3, because despite what people think about who's cutting the checks, again, if you listen to our building report interviews, you know the athletic department has to cut those checks to get rid of a coach, right? And so they've got to figure out how to allocate funds to be able to. So if it's like halfway through the season and a bunch of coaches start complaining that their budgets dry up, you know Brian Harsin's job is in trouble.
For sure.
Because they're building the coffers to cut a check.
Yeah. And to be clear, a disaster is 5 wins.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, because
if Vegas is right, then we're screwed.
He's going. So we will have loved him and lost him if we turn in 5 wins. Jazzy Joe, appreciate the super chat. Says y'all are absolutely killing these interviews. How are y'all doing this stuff this fast? This is wild. Plus Virginia double dribble because chill boys is what he meant, was not used to keep the ball secure.
That's pretty good.
Hey,
that's pretty good, Jazzy. I like it.
Chill boys appreciates the shout out, certainly. But yes, we are doing a lot of interviews, guys. If you're not a Patreon member, I'm telling you, you're going to get access to all this stuff first. We have our the next 2 months of interviews already filmed.
Yeah,
so
we've got quite a few interviews in the tank, and it hurts me not to be able to just like say, oh yeah,
I guess who we talked to
this guy. But but we definitely have. We've got a few of them in the chamber, man. So just know, if you pay your patron membership now, you're going to get use out of it for the remainder of the summer.
Exactly. Listen,
that's all I'm gonna say about that. You will get your use out of it and then once we get to the season, you guys, if you don't know how we do during the season, and we turn up even more during the season. So
exactly. So we're doing interviews with everybody out here. Don't be surprised if you tune in and see your mom. We turn down no interviews. Cardog says, "What are y'all
talking to my mom's behind my back?" Violating.
Cardog says, "What are y'all's thoughts on the first episode of the Harsin podcast? I thought it was great. We were going to hit on this a little bit. Should we say this one?
No, I mean, we might as well talk about it now since it's out there in the wild. I mean, we weren't going to do a lot of time on it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't listen. I haven't listened to it yet.
I gave
not because I'm not interested. It's just I'm busy, right? So I just have not had the opportunity to stop. Like, if I were to turn it on and listen, my attention would be so divided that I wouldn't be able to give you any sort of like real assessment of what I was listening. It would have just been background noise. So listen, school is out. My son is here, and I'm working at the same time. I do not get mental energy to be able to just do things. I have to be constantly in motion.
Yeah, I'll tell you from listening, I think that it's good that he's doing these sort of things.
For sure.
I think it shows a concerted effort to connect with the fan base. And I think that was missing. And he took a lot of criticism for that last year and early in this offseason for not reaching out to the community. So you're a head coach. Your time is valuable. And this is one way to consolidate that and get a message out to the masses by spending an hour doing a podcast, giving fans a window into who you are. The experiences that you've had, things that you've gone through, failures, successes. A podcast is a great way to do it. So him and Coach Keys was on that. Highly recommend you go listen to that if you get a chance. Michael Hornbeck, War Rapport, setting the standard for Auburn athletics coverage. You guys are gassing us up a lot tonight.
Hey, listen, I accept all gas. Gas is very expensive right now, too. So if you are providing the gas for us, then I appreciate that. Unless it's like Taco Bell gas. But
right. There's a coverage that many others can't achieve. Looks like I'm going to have to become a patron. Hey, listen, get yourself a green name out here. You don't want a black name. You want a green name.
If that's your picture right there, thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service, sir.
But, we definitely appreciate you even considering becoming a patron, because that gets us closer to our goal of 24-hour Auburn coverage. We're just going to turn cameras on live and never go off
while
air.
we brushing our teeth. Yeah, like how 24/7.
Yeah, just right here in the house. I'm gonna be taking the dog out and giving you guys updates about what I'm doing with Auburn stuff. I'm gonna cut up film live on stream. We're just doing all of that live, just all day.
Definitely
all day. Ike Jones draws and all.
Listen, guys, help. Wow. Help us out. If you're watching this live or on replay, share this video using @the War Rapport on all the socials. Put hashtag get your weight up. That's our bat symbol out here on social media. So definitely want you to use that. And also, if you're watching, click like and subscribe. The likes and the subscribes definitely help us climb the rankings, and it prioritizes our stuff in YouTube's algorithm so that more people find the War Rapport and we can grow our War Rapport family. Also, if you're watching on replay and you didn't get a chance to send a super chat, YouTube now allows you to do this after the fact. So look for that super thanks button and drop us some love if you enjoy what you hear. Right now, we're going to have a quick word from our sponsors.
This edition of the War Rapport is made possible by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. Athletic Architects. For young athletes looking to secure their financial futures, let Athletic Architects help you start to build your financial house. Head over to BuildTheHouse.com. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, check out our friends at GWT2Energy.com.
Yes, indeed. You guys, we've been talking a lot about these memberships that you need to get, and we mean it. When I say it, I mean it. I mean, you need to get this membership because it's going to be the best $4 to $6 that you will spend any month of your life, right? Like, I just don't know other things that you can get and get the value you're going to get out of $6 other than a War Rapport membership. $6 a month, you can come on board and make sure that you are doing those things to get your weight up effectively, and it helps us to continue to do our thing. I said earlier we have a new sponsor, so we do appreciate War Eagle Oil for actually coming on board as a giveaway sponsor for us. So War Eagle Oil, let me talk a little bit about that. It's actually like a motor oil company, right? So if you need to be able to get some new oil to change the oil in your car or something like that, War Eagle Oil is what you can do to be able to get that and make sure that I have the web address for that correctly, because I want to give our sponsors the due diligence necessary. We appreciate all of our sponsors for coming on board, but they are sponsoring our giveaways now on Wednesday nights. So that's War Eagle Oil. And if you want to do hashtag get your weight up in the comments, you will be able to get in with this drawing for this one. But here it is. So War Eagle Oil, just so you guys know, is that it's the #1 place for all your motor oil related products. Registered as a preferred customer and receive reduced pricing for up to 25% on every order, free shipping on orders up to $100 or more, and exclusive offers. Visit www.wareagleoil.com for more information. So definitely appreciate them for coming on board with what they got going on. But yeah, hashtag get your weight up to enter this AU t-shirt giveaway. The Auburn Express is our podcast place for a lot of exclusive content that we've got going on for them. So you all make sure that you head over to wherever you listen to podcasts and download your podcast to the Auburn Express. We're going to be dropping podcast exclusive stuff for you all. Very much so in the near future. So we definitely appreciate you all for continuing to do that. And then, we've talked about our newer sponsor on the podcast, Chill Boys. Quick word from them before we get back into this.
Treat your boys. Chill Boys underwear is designed for maximum comfort with enough space to keep you cool, calm, and comfortable. Chill Boys underwear will help you keep the boys close, not too close. When the game is on the line, you won't break a sweat with Chill Boys underwear. Whether it's left boy, right boy, or both boys, Chill Boys provides your boys comfort like you never felt. Maximize your chill with Chill Boys.
Yeah, so we definitely appreciate Chill Boys for sponsoring us. They are one of our sponsors now for the podcast. Our man C-Dub is in the building already, back in here, man. So we are definitely going to get into this new segment here, or this next segment. But we appreciate all of our sponsors for continuing to make the War Rapport the place for the best Auburn content out here on the webs.
I wrote the script for that Chill Boys ad, and I was giggling like a girl the whole time I was writing it, because I was like, I'm gonna make Brian say boys like 8 times and I'm gonna know it means balls. But it was so funny.
That conversation actually happened in his head.
It was,
I'm gonna know it means balls.
They're such a great sponsor. We gave away a sack pack last week. And
shout out to John Brandon.
Our winner was John Brandon. He posted it on social media on Twitter and tagged us. So
and it was so appropriate that he won too. So appropriate.
Yeah, there he is right there. Boom. Telling you guys, the sack pack came in. And my boys are cool AF. Yes.
Before we move into the next topic, we do got a couple of super chats. Haley Dub says, here's a 1/24th of a tank of gas, depending on what you're driving. That's a fact. It takes about $60 to fill my Infiniti right now, so I don't drive anywhere.
I put $50 in my truck today, and I think I was at half a tank.
Yeah, that's bueno.
That's
Jazzy Joe says, challenge, this is for Mike. Does Auburn hit a home run in the first game? 300 for correct answer. Let's go. Listen, our guy Sonny is definitely hitting one. Homer pick right here. Yes, Auburn hits a home run in the first game. Southeastern Louisiana, I think, is who we play. First game of the tournament.
We just did a Facts or Not, in fact, talking a little bit of baseball. And you guys, that is live right now for everybody. You don't have to be a member, so go and check that out. Facts or Not. We did a little baseball Facts or Not today. And speaking of Facts or Not, before we get into this next topic, man, y'all been slacking on sending us Facts or Not stuff, man. Y'all need to hit us up on our Instagram and our Twitter. Hashtag Facts or Not with questions that you want to get for the fan question, man, so we can get some good stuff going on here for the rest of the season. Y'all be asking like weird stuff like, is Auburn gonna be better? Like, I want like questions, man. Hit us with some good stuff, man. So
definitely
hashtag Facts or Not.
We talked about the baseball tournament on the Auburn Express podcast this morning as well too. And Brandy Mack took us to school on why statistically Alabama sucks, because they didn't make it. 9 teams from.
You need the statistics for that?
Yeah. Well, you have to see the stats to understand how
bad they were.
In comparison. But ultimately, you would have won your retirement if you bet $100 on Alabama to make the tournament. They did not. So you were just throwing away $100, and Auburn made it. So I don't know. FanDuel is doing some college World Series props. If we make it to Omaha, I might drop a bag on Auburn to do something.
Okay. Yeah. Well, listen. Let's get into the second conversation, and we're talking about basketball, guys. We're talking about Auburn basketball, and these days with Bruce Pearl at the helm, these are good conversations to have. ESPN released their way too early college basketball rankings. Now that the portal is starting to settle in, guys have signed, guys are determined whether or not they're leaving or staying. And as a result, Auburn comes in ranked 12th in the way too early college basketball rankings. Now, ranked ahead of them, just to name a few, Kentucky comes in at 3. And I think Oscar Tshiebwe coming back really boosted them up there, right? B. Will? We know how you feel about them. Arkansas comes in at 8. And I think we're the third highest ranked team at the SEC, coming in at 12. Gonzaga comes in, Mike G, at 6. Okay. Yeah. So I want to know, you guys, with what we got coming back, it's also already been announced that Alan Flanagan, Dylan Cardwell are returning. They will not be in the NBA draft this upcoming year. So with everyone coming back, what are your thoughts about this upcoming season and what's the potential for this team? And Ike, you're kind of our resident basketball expert. Well, how do you feel about the current team assembled? You know, we missed out on a big time recruit a few weeks back, Julian Phillips. So how do you feel about the current team as assembled? I'm not sure if Bruce Pearl grabs anyone out of the portal or if he finds someone at this point. It's hard to tell, but how do you feel about this team and its possibilities this upcoming year?
Well, I mean, so one of the biggest things that I felt like this team needed to be able to do a little bit better was shoot, right? Like we just needed better shooting. I don't know that we've addressed our ability to shoot well. Like, I don't know how well those freshmen that are coming in are going to be able to shoot. I don't know if year over year, KD or Wendell or Zep are going to be more proficient at being able to hit outside shots. I don't know if Alan Flanagan's going to get back up to being able to be a 3-point shooter or a scorer that we need. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel like we've addressed that yet because I don't know what growth has happened from the guard position or what the new guys who are coming in at the guard position are going to be able to supply. The other big need that I feel like we needed was, the off guard position or the 3 position, whatever you want to call it, like a big guard, right? So, Westry's a bigger guard, and then Flanagan is coming back now to give experience to that big guard position. A lot of our success is going to depend on how well Flanagan is in year 2 post-injury. If he's back up to sophomore year Alan Flanagan, that's a dangerous team.
Thanks.
It's a very dangerous team if that's sophomore year Alan Flanagan back being one of the guys who people thought was going to be an all-SEC performer. Because athleticism-wise, he looked like he was getting back there. It was just his feel for the game wasn't there. But if he gets back into that position with what we have now in a more, I'll say, polished post-scoring threats that we have now, offensively, we're not going to have the lulls that we had last season, right? Like if Alan Flanagan can be the guy off the ball that we need to be able to be a slasher or a medium range guy or even hitting open, corner threes or whatever that's going to be, Jay Will getting a little bit more playing time, being able to knock down open shots, and we have the effective guard play or more mature guard play, very dangerous team. I think we have the tools to do it. The question is, how quickly do they gel? And can we play the type of defense that we played last year over sustained periods without Walker Kessler back there? I get what Janai Broome was able to provide when he was shot blocking. Again, he was up there in the top of the country in block shots. Dylan Cardwell coming back, prolific shot blocker. We've got size with Traore in there. Like I understand all the intangibles that we could possibly see work into something. I need to see how quickly this team is able to gel and actually play together defensively before I can say that we'll be as proficient defensively. But again, the 2 questions that still are unanswered: is Alan Flanagan back? Can we shoot better from the outside? Don't know either of those answers yet, so I hesitate to say how much better we're going to be. But I will say this, and one of the things that you mentioned about whether or not we will possibly pick up someone else from the transfer portal, I think it's unlikely unless someone transfers out. Unless we have a guy leave. I mean, I think we're at our scholarship limit now anyway with both of those guys coming back. So
we've got one more.
I think we got one.
Yeah,
I think we got one.
But I don't know. I don't know if there's a guy out there that Bruce Pearl is saying, or in his staff are saying,
do we need to fill it?
We don't need it.
We don't have to.
I don't need to fill it, right? Like I say, leave it open, man. I mean, because you're short scholarships next year, right? Because of the penalties that came down from the thing.
So yeah, I just don't know that it's going to be absolutely necessary for us to do that. But those 2 questions will determine, like, if they get into it and they're like, yeah, we still suck at shooting the ball, then they'll try to go find a shooter maybe, right? But I think we've got the tools. It's just about how well they ever are able to execute. I think it'll be interesting to see what our offensive philosophy is going to be, because the talented team that went to the Final Four was lights out shooting the ball. We didn't adjust to not being able to do that well last year. And I don't know that, for as good as Jabari Smith was, and as good as Walker Kessler was, that we had a guy we just dump it down into the post and just say, get out of the way and let him go get a bucket from there, right? And play inside out really well. Jabari Smith was more of a high post catch guy, quick touch guy. He wasn't a drop it to him on the block, drop step. Walker Kessler had a little bit of that, but he wasn't really that guy either. So I think it's going to be interesting that Janai Broome can be that guy. I think it's interesting that Troyer can be that guy. Are we going to rely on that a little bit more to work our offense differently? So it'll be interesting to see how it comes together.
Yeah, I did know what Ike is saying. Listen, at the end of the day, if Allen Flanigan is going to be the Allen Flanigan that they saw as a first-round potential draft pick, Auburn's going to be dangerous. And to Ike's point about the 2019 team being a lights-out shooting team, that team was passing up wide open layups to shoot threes.
Yeah.
They were ridiculous. My favorite play from that season was Jared Harper going in for a layup and tossing it to Bryce Brown on the outside. It was a great call. Dick Vitale goes, "Oh, they love the three," and then he hits it. He goes, "Bang!" It was amazing. We need that energy. We need perimeter shooting.
Yeah.
We do. We have to have it. When we went cold from the outside, we can't have KD Johnson going 1 for 14 in a game and nobody to pick up the slack.
Yeah.
We just can't. KD's a great energy guy, but man, that energy has to convert to buckets. And we need more scoring because we were a great defensive basketball team last year. But at some point, somebody's going to be able to score on you, and you need to be able to score with them.
Yeah, I mean, look, Miami proved that, right? Like, we could not stop Miami, but the problem was we couldn't score either.
Yeah,
right.
Like, if I think Miami gets a lot tighter in that game, if we're scoring buckets more consistently. Like, we had a lot of unforced errors, a lot of turnovers in that game. If we're putting buckets together, same thing with the SEC the SEC tournament against Texas A&M. We just weren't hitting shots, right? Like, and the shots were there to be made. You have to be a little bit more proficient. And I think the issue with this team last year is that we were not, if we weren't in transition, we weren't getting easy buckets. Everything was a tough look. Everything was a contested look. Like, it was transition or bust for this team last year in order to get that offense going. And that's really great when you have a really good defense. But if the other team's got a really good defense and you need to be able to get buckets, even when you have height advantages, we were not getting the buckets consistently. The Tennessee game comes to mind, where Tennessee wasn't bigger, stronger than us. They were just able to get to loose balls better than us. They had the number of offensive possessions that they had to be able to get second chances in that game is what won Tennessee that game. And so, but the converse is, they played well against us defensively. Same thing with the Florida game. If we had been able to get buckets a little more easily, we win both of those games handily. But the problem was guard play and consistency when shooting from the outside.
Yeah, agree.
Let me ask you guys this. How big of an X factor can Westry be? We talked about Flanigan taking a big step and returning back to his form, but at what point do you look Westry again? He's going to be a young kid coming in, so there's not a lot of pressure on him to have to produce, but he gives you some production from the wing position. How much more comfortable are you about the wing position, knowing that Flanigan may improve and Westry is taking the step forward? How big does he factor into this? And if he does factor into this, what does that do for SEMO?
So what worries? I don't want to say worry. Worry is the wrong word. I think the value of Westry or Flanigan returning to his old form is not necessarily the outside shot. Anybody that we had that could actually drive was small. KD's like 6'1". Why am I losing his name? Yeah, Wendell's like 5'10", and those are the guys who were most proficient at driving. They had trouble finishing at times. They had trouble getting in the lane because they're small guys. So if there's somebody bigger on them, it's a little harder for them to do what they want to do. And that's the benefit that I thought we would have had from Allen Flanigan being his old self, is even if your shot you're not shooting 35% or better from three, cool, drive. College refs love to blow the whistle for absolutely nothing. just drive. And if you're at least decent at finishing, you'll get a bucket and one. We'll be getting guys fouled out all the time. And that was kind of the telltale for me that Allen Flanigan wasn't right, was when he got to the basket, it's like he just didn't have a sense for where the basket was. It was weird. It's like he's trying to decide whether to lay it off the backboard or right into the bucket. It's like it was mental. It looked mental.
Yeah.
And the difference for us will be, even if we don't have elite outside, it's got to be better. That's number one. Outside shooting has to be better if we're going to be a better team and go further in the tournament.
Right.
If the guys that we have, if we play that elite defense, but Flanigan can consistently beat his man and finish at the basket, we're a better team. Yeah. And so I kind of expect offensively the benefit of Westry would either be if he can shoot from outside consistently, fantastic. Even better, if he can drive and finish consistently. That's really what we were missing from our team. Now, when people let Wendell in, then he could start dishing, the ball starts moving, and then we look great. But you can kind of prevent Wendell from getting to his spots, and that hurt us in the long run. So Westry, I'm always a little bit iffy on true freshmen. And it's not just because they're true freshmen. I don't think every incoming freshman is going to be Jabari Smith. Right. So, like, we know that Traore is coming in and he's got a great skill set. I hope he is as great in his first year with us as he projected to be coming out of high school. But the truth is that some guys, it takes more time. Right. Now, I don't trust any staff more than ours to get guys to their potential. I trust our staff to do that. Unlike old bum Nate Oates across the state, blaming his players for their effort after they lost. You are the coach. You pick the guys and you build the guys up and make them be the players that they can be. That was some of the worst. If I was an AD, he wouldn't have had a job. How are you going to blame players? You coach the players.
And so, and this to amplify the point, because players' effort is a lot of personal stuff. But the issue that I had with the Nate Oates comments more specifically is that wasn't new for Alabama. It's not as if their effort was good all season and they came up short in that game. Their effort sucked a lot last year. They were just not good. Like, their effort was like inconsistent. And if they weren't hitting threes, it demoralized the entire team. They couldn't play. Like, it was just bad. And that a lot of that is culture and coaching that allows you to get into a better place. I mean, the first part of that is selecting guys that are effort players. The next
Who's
part
responsible
of that,
for selecting players?
Right. And the next part of that is figuring out how to motivate your players to get into that space. But then the third part of that is the actual player and the leadership within the locker room to say, hey, guys, let's get this together. Like, one of the things that I loved about, now this isn't basketball related, but it's just going to be just a tangent that illustrates it, is Jarvis Landry. You know, people have seen the Hard Knocks clips of him in the wide receiver room talking to guys in Cleveland when he got there. And he was just like, he's basically telling them, like, you guys aren't performing like professionals right now. And he was credited with cultural changes in the locker room. Now, Cleveland was still terrible. But they played better. But he was one of the guys who was credited with changing the locker room culture because he was a leader in that group, and that becomes infectious. Bama just didn't have those guys, and if you can't get it from your coaching staff and you have to only get it from your players, then it's going to be up and down, because your coach has to be the one to be able to stabilize it when those players' emotions don't allow them to be able to be in that space. And, you know, Nate Oates knows how to put on a nice suit, but can he get it done when he's actually having to coach and the people aren't just out there hurling up threes?
I want to go back to something. Caesar, you started talking about the way too early list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who was number one on their list? Was it North Carolina?
North Carolina.
North Carolina was number one.
Yeah. They got a lot coming back, so that makes sense.
We were 11 on that list.
12
on the list.
Okay. Number two was Houston, 3 was Kentucky, 4 was UCLA, 5 is Creighton, 6 was Gonzaga, 7 is Baylor, 8 is Arkansas, 9 is Duke, 10 is Kansas, 11 is Texas, and then we come in at 12. Tennessee's right behind us at 13.
I think that the 11 ranking, in spite of us turning over our 2 best players again, is finally people starting to give Bruce Pearl some respect.
Yeah,
for the program that he is, the bordering top 10 program that he has. year in and year out. Last year, we were way too low. I don't care what anybody said. We started way too low. And based on what they accomplished in 2019 and then having a first-round pick in Okoro the next year, I just felt like Auburn wasn't getting enough respect. And I don't care what anybody says. If Allen Flanigan doesn't get hurt, he definitely has a better year than he had last year.
I think that's fair. I mean, because he just starts in a better place to begin the
season. I just that's such a tough injury to come back from, and I feel like maybe he felt, as any good player would, feel the pressure of wanting to be there for their team. But I wonder if sitting out the season might have been better for him. I don't know if he had a red shirt or what.
Maybe.
But maybe rehabbing the whole season might have been better for him rather than damaging your confidence mentally by going in before you're ready. But who knows? Maybe he's ready this year. I just feel like if everyone's underestimating Allen Flanigan, because of what they saw last year,
sure,
right? We're gonna shock a lot of people next year with the kids they brought in and the guys we have returning. And you got to remember, people are allowed to raise their game in the offseason.
Yeah.
So the Wendell Green that we see this year might be a much smarter, much sharper shooting Wendell Green that we saw last year.
He was looking like he figured some things out towards the end of the season, the way he was becoming a bit of a floor general. So I was impressed with him towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I think Wendell Green is going to improve. You have to think about too, he came from a smaller conference, and so adjusting to once he got into SEC play and they are playing guys who are a higher level of athleticism game in and game out. Taller, more athletic guys, that bothers you, right? Like you have to figure out how to play that position against people who are not just taller, but also have the athleticism and their skill level is matching yours, right? So it's not just, okay, I'm the craftiest ball handler out here on the court. I'm able to just do what I want to do.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's just as crafty as you and he's got 4 inches on you.
Mm-hmm.
Now what are you going to do? Right.
Exactly.
So you have to be more of an intelligent ball player. Same thing with KD, right? KD was at Georgia the year before, but he was able to play in a role at Georgia where he could just be head down, bully his way to the goal all the time because he didn't have to be the primary ball handler.
Right.
Right. And then he wasn't even a starter, for a lot of those games. And he was in starting duty here. It's adjusting to a different role. Same thing for Zep Jasper. Zep Jasper was adjusting to a different conference, different role, seeing different types of athleticism game in and game out. So yeah, those guys have an opportunity to elevate. And I did see some changes or some differences in how they were playing. But some of that too, is going to be on coaches understanding how to put people in the right positions to be able to utilize their talents effectively. That pick and roll game worked great for us for a large majority of the season, but we didn't adjust particularly well to figure out, okay, teams are taking that away. What else are we going to do?
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, there's no way we're going to talk about a way too early top list with Gonzaga on it without me letting everybody know that they're a bunch of bums. You're 6? Really? 6? Like, you're talking about a team that gets way too much credit every year for no reason.
Who's still on that Gonzaga team that people are super confident is going to be really good?
Timmy's done.
Timmy, is he done?
I think he declared for the draft as well as.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Oh, okay.
Chet is declared for the draft.
Is Nembhard gone? I think Nembhard was Melissa. If you're watching, tell me if Nembhard is.
I thought Timmy was still there, but no, that's well. Listen. What conference they playing again?
The bum conference, because they're a bunch of bums. Their coaches are bum. Their cheerleaders are bums. Their fans are bums. Their Twitter mob are extra bums. These are bums of the highest order. And they deserve no spot. And I wish I would never see another top 10 list with Gonzaga on it ever again. Holy crap, man. Talk about doing nothing but garnering a high ranking every year, playing nobody. I think if Gonzaga had played in SEC, if they had played Auburn's schedule last year, they'd have had 6 or 7 losses on that record. Easy.
Calling their cheerleaders bums is crazy, but
they are bums. They are bums. seen him.
Like,
I seen him. That was right there for everybody to see.
I think too, back to your point about Flanagan, man. Like, I think it's tough to come back when the team is hitting on all cylinders too.
Yeah,
Because you're trying. Okay, yes, you're trying to find out where do you fit on a team that appears to have everything figured out. And so I think going into the beginning of the season, to your point, my G, if you start the season with you trying to figure things out, I think you're able to find your place and a feel for the game much sooner, as opposed to coming in on the halfway through the season and the team is playing at a high level. So
right. Well, that was the other thing that I felt I was worried about with Flanagan was we were playing pretty good basketball when he came back. And now it's not just about how he's playing or recovering. It's about how he fits into the chemistry that you spent 2 months developing before he came back.
Right.
I was so worried about how they were going to fit him into what they were doing. And those guys went through that growing process together, and Flanny missed it. So
it's tough to do that at the pro level. Like when you see teams figure some stuff out and your star comes back and you're like, they look terrible.
Yeah, we learned how to play without him.
Right.
I mean, who was it? They used to talk about like Ja Morant when Ja Morant was hurt. They had a phenomenal record when he was not on the court.
Yeah. Right.
And then when he came back, it threw off the chemistry a little bit. I don't know. I feel like we had an unfortunate set of circumstances with some players last year. And this year, I'm praying that they go in healthy, go into camp healthy, come out of camp healthy, and then we get to start the season with a full deck of cards, and drop a full house on somebody. I think it's possible. And starting from 12, we did a facts or not asking about whether Auburn garners another number 1 ranking again next year. I think starting from 12 is much more likely that they'll get that respect early on in the season if they go on a run early.
For sure. But guys, let us know what you think, especially if you're watching on replay. Are we looking at a top 15 team? Do you think Auburn is a top 10 team? Do you think they ranked us a little low? Let us know in the comments for sure. It's time to draw. It's time for somebody to win a new shirt, an AU t-shirt.
War Eagle Oil.
By War Eagle Oil. That's our Wednesday giveaway sponsor. Appreciate them coming on aboard. You guys know what to do if you want to enter to win. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments. And you need to be here to claim your prize too, because we will give it away to someone else. All right. So do the necessary there. Ike, is you ready or is you ready?
59.
All right, 59 entries, 60 entries now for the giveaway. Let's get into this and see who's going to win a t-shirt. Again, sponsored by War Eagle Oil. Appreciating them for coming on board and sponsoring our giveaway today. To Jake Mobley. Jake, if you're here, holla at your folks so that we can get you that shirt out in the mail. We'll be looking for your name in the comments to be able to do that. While we're waiting on Jake to jump in here, let's just get one more word from one of our wonderful sponsors, and that is going to be Rogue Shop.
This episode of the War Rapport is brought to you in part by Rogue Shop. Looking to reduce stress or improve your quality of sleep? Rogue Shop has you covered with a wide range of premium products, including gummies, bath salts, and oils. Go to rogueshop.com and use code RAPPORT when you check out. That way, they know we sent you. All right?
Rogue Shop was running a 30% off site-wide on gummies. So if you get as angry as I do listening to B make points, go get you some gummies from the Rogue Shop. 30% off before that sale is over.
Oh, yeah? I'm about to be more ridiculous this season. Worst points. Oh, you know what? I think about this often before we get into the last section. When we started at the beginning of last football season, the very first episode before, we were picking games, and I picked UCLA to beat LSU. And Mike G said, "You will never be more wrong than
I did
you
say
are."
that. That's a fact. I did say that.
I said I will be more wrong, Mike, because I'm sure I'll be wrong, but I was more wrong because you were so confident.
I
So
did. I was. You gotta say it with your chest.
I mean, you do. You know, you gotta say it like you mean it.
To be right, you got to be wrong sometimes. That's how the saying goes. That's how the legend goes.
That's not how that works.
Not it? Okay.
No, that's not how that works.
I'll come up with something.
Awesome. Well, Jake Mobley is here. Jake, we appreciate you hopping in here and getting your merch claimed here. You can email us business at the War Rapport, and it still says GWT2 Energy. I got to fix a lot of stuff in here to make sure we have the right people sponsoring. War Eagle Oil is the sponsor today, but email us business at the War Rapport so that you can claim your giveaway. We need your address and your t-shirt size in order to be able to do that properly for you, sir. And we appreciate you being a supporter and chatting in here with the War Rapport.
All right, guys, you already know what time it is. We getting into the questions, comments that you guys have dropped on us. We'll run through these as quick as possible.
I gotta make some music for that, like a doom 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 doom, something just like a dramatic. Here we go with the fan questions. I think it's something. I think so.
Yeah, you got time. You got time. Zach says, how do y'all feel about Javon Baker coming to Auburn?
I think it's unlikely that he actually even comes, but we'll see.
I thought you meant like he had committed.
No, I mean, you know, he was at Kentucky, and then apparently something went down there where he wasn't going to be at there anymore. He was de-enrolled, and people are saying that, you know, Auburn's targeting him. I don't know that that's actually going to happen, but you know, listen, my stance on anybody coming in is if they're going to be able to compete, bring them in, let them compete. But yeah, I don't really have a ton of feelings about it right now.
Yeah, I feel like if it's behavioral, if it's behind the scenes stuff that the coaches know, and our coaches are doing their due diligence on guys, and we know for sure that culture and buy-in are a big deal. So if either one of those things, behavior, breaking team rules, if those were the reasons that his enrollment is in jeopardy, they wouldn't even kick the tires. Our staff would look the other way. And they want to keep this locker room cohesive and get the type of guys they want. Can't blame them for that. So that is if that's the issue. I have no idea what the issue was. It's my first time hearing about it actually. But so
yeah. James Glenn says my wife loves listening to y'all and won't leave me the hell alone. Well, listen, James, let me help you out with something. Biblically, their wife is referred to as a helpmate, so she's only helping you see the light in terms of Auburn stuff in the War Rapport. So
we're gonna get canceled.
So War Eagle to the wife, thanks for supporting the War Rapport. Thank you for hanging out with us, Glenn, for sure. Mm-hmm. James Barnett asked a good question. Can we send facts or NAS question or request on Facebook for those who don't have Twitter or Instagram, guys?
Oh man, James, just get a Twitter. Just for one.
So here's the thing. For those of you who don't have either of those, here's what I will do. You can leave them in the comments on the Facts or Not video, and I'll grab a screen grab from that. So how about you go to the most recent Facts or Not video and drop any questions in those comments, and I'll try to get them from there. It's just the thing. The reason, again, guys, is that why we ask for Twitter and Instagram is because we have to do, well, we don't have to, but we prefer to do a screen capture of who it is that's saying it. Because, you know, in reality, what I don't want is people thinking we're just making up the fact that people sent us questions. I want to be able to have a screen capture that says, look, this person actually sent us this question and we're asking the question that they did, as opposed to, yeah, we had somebody who said this to us, but, you know, like, no, we want to make sure people know real fans interacting with us. So if you do it in the comment section on the video, we'll allow that as well.
Facts.
All right. Hugh Bailey says, who's betting the 5.5 win line? Well, that guy over there, these guys down here, all over it.
I'm dropping
about 500 on
bag.
that.
Yeah,
about
I'm putting
500
a whole
at least.
bag. Yep, at least. And if we lose, then we'll have a pity party together.
Okay. A better question. Mm-hmm. How much stuff are you breaking if you lose that bet, Mike G?
Well, it will be broken throughout the season because that means we're going to lose.
That's what I'm saying.
7 games.
That's what I'm saying.
right? Like, oh my god, and not make a bowl game.
Your place gonna look like a war zone.
Oh my god, yeah. I don't even want to think about that. We're gonna get 6.
I have lost much bigger bets, so I won't have to break anything. But this won't hurt me because if the Warriors win, then I'll have everything I want to bet and more. So counting on Steph to get it done, so I can not have any stress about what Auburn does this season.
Well, speaking of which, Kelsey Gardner wants to know, not Auburn related. I'm interested to know who Ike's got in the Golden State Boston series.
Who's out of what Golden State and Boston are doing? What?
You're learning now, Kelsey, that if his team's not in it, he doesn't watch.
He does not care.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't even know what Golden State and Boston are doing. What are they doing?
They're playing the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they canceled the NBA season.
Only in your head.
No. Okay. I don't know. I didn't know anything about that.
Who is your team? Who is your team? Who's your team, Mike?
The Bulls. Chicago.
Oh, my team?
No, he said me, Chicago.
Oh,
I'm a Chicago Bulls fan. So,
I'm a Chicago Bulls fan too, but
I didn't even know the NBA was still happening right now. So
I'm taking Golden State. I'm taking Golden State in this one.
I'm taking a nap.
After watching the East Finals, which was pretty poor basketball, if you ask me, that was painful to watch the East Finals.
It was also an infirmary unit too. Like they were just the MASH unit.
I do, if Miami had been healthy, that it would have been a different series. But if they happen all the time. If Chicago had won the series against Milwaukee, then all of these guys would have been eliminated. So whatever.
Yeah. I don't like Golden State, but I'm telling you, I've enjoyed watching them play basketball more than anybody else this offseason, this postseason. So I
like Golden State. If Robert Williams was healthy, it makes a difference. Kevon Looney
Looney ain't eating like that with a healthy Williams. Looney's not eating like he's been eating with Williams in the paint if he's healthy.
If Williams is healthy, right.
And Smart he's not enough of a consistent offensive threat. I think to match up with Golden State could have, any night, Clay could literally drop 8 threes on you, or Curry could do that, or Poole can go off. And Wiggins is having probably the best year of his career. Like, I just don't. And then you got Draymond. Like, I don't know, man. I'm going.
Yeah, man. I don't know either, man, because basketball is.
It would have been a lot closer if Boston was 100% healthy. Golden State's prone to turning the ball over. That's the thing about them, man. All that ball movement means guys are moving, means guys get missed. They turn the ball over. They let people back in games, or they gave a couple games away this postseason simply from how much they turned the ball over. Boston's the best defensive team they're going to play. They do have a chance. I think he goes 6.
But is Jimmy Butler a better offensive player than anybody on Golden State? Because he was dropping
top to bottom,
35 a night on Boston.
Complete game.
He is a more complete offensive player, absolutely.
Yes, because he will shoot the 3, not as consistently as some of the guys on Golden State.
He's better.
He's have a game every once in a while. That game, he dropped like 4 of them.
He had 40. He hit like 47.
He'll hit a 3. But he's great for slashing and getting to the basket for sure.
It's also
as you guys can see, I actually do still. I can't not watch basketball. It's impossible for me not watch basketball. But still, I don't care. I don't care who wins.
I was saying Jimmy had to do it because nobody else was consistent. Tyler Hero was banged up, which is a problem for him. Like every time he gets
Tyler Hero needs some chill boys.
Yeah, he needs to chill.
Yeah, I was like, and in that on my Game 7 parlay, I was like, I ain't taking Jimmy Butler anything but points. Because that's all he's going to do in this game, right? He's just going to score. He's going to be their whole offense, and that's about what happened, right? He had to have another 40-something point performance for them to even be in it.
If he had 3 more points, then they would have won the game. So,
Boston would have still had the ball.
They would have won.
Oh yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. So I was shocked. I've never seen that actually before. I've seen them take a point off the board because the foot was on the 3-point line. But I've never seen them take points off the board because they said his foot was out of bounds.
I've never seen.
You didn't see this?
I think who was it who hit a 3? Was it Strus?
Strus
hit a 3, and then
because his heel was like hovering
down like later in the game after a timeout, they took away the 3. I've never seen them do that. It's always whether it's a 2 or 3, but never He's
I
out
was
of bounds.
shocked.
No
I was
basket.
like, what is this foolishness, man? They just
I
took
thought
points
Ike
off
was
the board.
talking about.
Oh, I was talking about Jimmy Butler's missed last shot, but that's a whole different scenario of like, I've never seen that happen either.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, it definitely changes the way you play the game
For
in
sure.
the subsequent, you know what I mean?
It sucks when you're playing from behind and you need those points. Like that's just that sucks. So
I was upset for them.
Let's move on. We got a few more to tackle. Good question here by Infinite Auburn Chase H. Good to see you, man. Haven't seen you in a minute. Serious question. When are we getting a War Rapport Bama equals bum shirt?
I hadn't considered that as a possible shirt, but
asking you shall receive.
You know, hey, listen, I can make it happen though.
Sooner than you think. Sooner than you think. I like that idea. I like how you think, Chase.
Yeah.
All right, Jazzy Joe says, "Are we going to be Are we going to games in Cancun or wherever the team is going during the season?"
Strong possibility.
Listen, man, travel schedules are dependent upon whether or not we're doing this full time. Basketball is a different beast. It's not like traveling on the weekends for football games.
Yeah, it is.
You know, so
and Cancun is, it's Cancun. I'd love to be in Cancun.
Right. It's not like I can just drive over to Cancun real quick and then get back home. Right. So
it's a fact. That's a fact.
Hey wife, I'm going to Cancun now.
Yeah, I'll be back in
Vito.
That's just Cancun,
Vito.
So
TBD.
We shall see.
TBD.
We shall see. Blake Robinson says, "I think Janai Broome is going to eat some people up inside. He's a scorer and shot blocker." Thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. I it's something I owe you guys a lot of film breakdowns, but Janai Broome is one of those film breakdowns I plan on trying to do as we get closer to the basketball season, just to show Auburn fans what they're getting in that guy. Because here's the thing, you can watch highlights all day. Of course, they're going to show highlights, and I talk about this all the time. Highlights are going to show you the stuff that the guy does really well. I just want to break down how he plays through the course of a game. But I do like his game, and so I'm definitely interested in getting into that film a little bit more. It's just basketball is not number one on my list right now of things I need to be looking at. So, but we'll get into that for sure.
I'm just really intrigued about how his post game offensively and how that can change your offense for sure. I'm excited about that. Philip Coleman, glad to have you. He says, "Who do y'all think will be the lob man now that Cambridge is gone?"
It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, honestly, because there's not a lot of guys. Jalen Williams has got hops. Like, I think people forget Jalen Williams can get up there. He's not Cambridge, but he can definitely get up and catch some lobs. I mean, we did a lot of lobs to our centers last year, particularly Kessler and Cardwell out of that pick and roll action. So I anticipate that happening some more next year. But the backside lobs and the fast break lobs, there's nobody on this team that's got Cambridge hops. So I don't know.
Yeah, I can see Jalen filling that role. I see lobs to the big men as well too. I see maybe Johan and Cardwell catching a lot of lobs this year.
Yeah, so we'll see if Jalen can get in there. I don't know if I don't think Westry's got hops like that. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Jazzy. Well, hold on. No, we have to do it right, guys. Forgive me.
Yeah, welcome to another Jazzy Challenge.
Jazzy asks, not lame. He said location challenge now. Where am I? I'm so used to saying that. Location challenge. Where am I for 150 for the state that borders it?
Oh, okay. We get the states around it now.
Missouri.
Is he still on vacation?
I don't know. I'm checking his Twitter right now.
I'm thinking he's still on vacation, right? Last time I checked.
He was thinking about getting a tattoo yesterday. He's in Washington. He's in Washington.
I'm gonna go with Alaska.
What border is Alaska?
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna go for the Hyundai. You go for the 50.
Okay, all right. I'll go. I think he's in Washington. Gotta be.
You said Missouri. B.
I say Missouri.
Yeah, he's still up in the Northwest. Gotta be Jazzy.
Yeah.
Talk to us,
We
Jazzy.
don't have Ike. Ike had to step away for a second, so I guess we're going with these three guesses. Don't tell us yet, Jazzy. We'll wait for Ike to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Harris, are we overrating Flanagan? He had the green light on a bad Auburn team and didn't look as good with talent around him, or as motivated, not being the number one option.
I don't think it's any of those things, honestly. I just think he had a bad injury, and he probably should have taken some more time to rehab it than he did. And that was it, because it's chemistry is a real thing in basketball, and he didn't get a chance to form chemistry with those guys before they were already in a groove, and then they had to figure out how. I think it almost felt like they were obligated to play him, kind of. You know, you have a guy like Flanagan who's given the team so much of his soul, and it's hard to keep a guy like that on the bench when he wants to go. And I feel for any athlete who has to make that decision about sitting out a whole season while your team is on a tourney run.
Yeah.
That would be so difficult to do, man. It really would have been hard to do. So I just think he'll be healthier. He's probably just growing his confidence. He talked about how going through the draft process and what he played on some kind of like evaluation team or something that they do something like that now.
The GM,
yeah. I think that he it sounded like from his statement that he regained a lot of confidence, decided it's time for me to return for another year, and I feel good that I can contribute at a high level. I still think Flanagan can be a lottery pick. I do, because he showed that potential, and you know, if he can get back and just get in the game and have a good offseason, I could see him maybe.
So what I'll say about the Flanagan situation, sorry to cut you off, C, is that I think overrating might be the wrong word to use. I think he has to adjust to his role better and understand, you know, like it's clear he's not an instant offense guy, right? Like there are some guys, KD actually is one of those guys where he doesn't need a lot of touches to get going, right? It's just like, if at any point in time you give me the ball, I'm going to go score a bucket. Flanagan seems like one of those guys that you kind of have to run the offense through, or he needs to be the main guy in order for him to be comfortable, because he wasn't in that role as a freshman. He went into that role because we needed him to be his sophomore year. And then coming back from the injury,
Sharif wasn't cleared.
Right.
Sharif wasn't cleared for like 11 games.
So they needed him to be the primary ball handler. In the games where we tried to make him the primary ball handler because Jasper wasn't there, you could see his confidence just wasn't there yet, right? Like, so I don't think that it's an overrating situation. I just think that he needed more time. But the question, and I think Corey asked this earlier and I responded to it in the chat, is it possible that his sophomore year was the anomaly and not the trend that he was going in that direction? Definitely possible. He didn't show that his freshman year. I didn't see his sophomore year coming.
Yeah. So Melissa, I'm getting text messages. Anytime Alan Flanagan comes up, I have 5 people who text me about Flanagan slander. And I got to read this. She brought up the thing about Sharif, and then she said, people are forgetting he was all SEC and he played half of that season out of position, trying to fill a role because Sharif wasn't back, essentially. So, you know, I think those are valid points. It's just, you know, now they get a chance to just figure out where he fits in the scheme of the totality of a team. And there's a lot more talent on this team than his sophomore year. Mm-hmm. They're doing that's the thing about Auburn now, is every year more talent comes in, equal or greater talent is coming in. So is it possible that he was primed to be the guy? Mm-hmm. And then you go out and you get Jabari Smith, and you're not going to be the guy.
Well, I think if Alan Flanagan's not hurt, I think that the what they were going to do is make Flanagan and Jabari the feature portions of the offense.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
It was just going to be, because I can realistically see scenarios of Alan Flanagan and Jabari Smith in a pick and roll, as opposed to putting the ball in, you know, one of your smaller guards' hands in the half court. Because he proved he can be a primary ball handler the year before. And that's a way different proposition, trying to guard Alan Flanagan and Jabari Smith in a pick and roll or a pick and pop scenario, because Jabari is such a good 3-point shooter and Alan Flanagan is such an athletic downhill athlete. right? Like that's just different. And if Alan Flanagan can be trusted to make the right decision in that pick and roll scenario, that offense is super hard to guard, man.
Yeah.
Kessler. So just again, picture this: healthy, confident Alan Flanagan handling the ball in the pick and roll with Jabari Smith as a pick and pop option to be able to widen out the defense on that, and Kessler at the dunker position throwing lobs, and then corner three situations with Wendell or KD. That's a way different offensive proposition than Wendell going downhill into the trees, right? That's just different.
Right.
And so again, you know, it's yet to be seen whether or not his sophomore year was the anomaly or he's going to get back into that space. But I think it does say that this team or this coaching staff is confident if they don't try to go bring in another wing player, that he's getting back to that space. And he looked good in some of the camp videos that I did see of him. So we'll see.
For sure.
Where's Jazzy, Ike?
What did you guys say already?
I said Alaska. Mike said Washington. B said Missouri.
Oh, wow. I am going to go with somewhere in the Midwest, Ohio.
Ohio. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Corey Weber says, thinking out loud, if Phillips picked AU instead of Tennessee, does Flanagan stay in the draft?
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know that impacted his decision that much. Because I think his decision was based upon how likely it was that he was going to go to the league. And I think if he gets better draft grades, he doesn't come back. I think Phillips coming back would determine whether or not he comes back to Auburn.
Right.
But I don't know if it determines whether or not he stays in the draft.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Whether or not he comes back here. He would not have come back here if Julian Phillips had committed to Auburn. I don't think so.
I don't think so. I really don't. So good question though, Corey. Thomas Jones, we got a sticker from you, but here's a question from you. Any word on the wide receiver transfer from Iowa?
I think he ended up going to Purdue.
Yeah, he committed to Purdue.
I think people said he went to Purdue. Okay. Well,
There's
there's that.
from Kenyon. Godspeed to you, King. Hope you have a very productive year.
Yep.
Jazzy Joe says, Mike G, those are my tattoos I already have.
Oh man, Jazzy is tatted up. Okay, bro. I feel you. That's a lot of Auburn he's got tatted on the body.
No, he loves Auburn through and through. Sean Terry says, do you guys plan on doing any interviews with any basketball players during the off season?
Listen, we will talk to players, but let it be known that the War Rapport does not pay for interviews. So if you see somebody talking to us, it's because they want to talk to us.
Yeah,
that's how we get interviews, and those conversations come off genuine because they are. And student athletes are on busy schedules, even in the off season. And time to yourself is precious, and we respect that. So we're always very gracious when a student athlete gives us a little of their time, so that you guys can get to know them a little better. But I'm working on it. Yeah, but ultimately they have to want to talk. And you know what helps us get to athletes is you guys sharing us on social media. And we did an interview today where the guy we interviewed said, I've seen you guys on Instagram. And he said, I'm not on social media a lot, but I've seen you guys. And that helps. They hear from their teammates, but sharing on social media does definitely matter. So when we ask you guys to do that, that'll help us get those interviews.
For sure. He's in Wyoming.
Wyoming?
Why?
2 days ago, he was in the other place.
Jazzy's on the move, man.
He is on the
move.
Moving target. Okay. All right. I don't see anything else. You guys got anything else here?
No, man. Listen, building rapport.
Oh, we got one. We got a good question here from Infinite Auburn Chase. Anthony McLemore is already a YouTuber.
That's right. He is. He's a prolific YouTuber at that. I forgot all about that. I forgot all about his YouTube channel. I have
We
seen
have not
that.
interviewed him, but hey, listen, we're open for it. So maybe we'll hit up Anthony and see if he wants to come chop it up with the
Macklemore.
guys.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
All right. Okay, Mike G, you were saying interview.
Build
We
a
had an
rapport.
interview.
Yeah, you're saying tomorrow.
Yeah, we just have Harsin Part 2 hits tomorrow. If you're a patron, you can get Jayson Jones's interview. We played a clip of that earlier, so he's next up on the building report list. If you're not a patron member, next Thursday that'll be live. But we've got a lot of really interesting interviews coming with players and coaches and all kind of stuff. So if you enjoyed the Harsin interview, share that. Share Part 2 when it drops tomorrow, so that we can get those numbers up. It had quite a few views.
Yeah, indeed. And again, a lot of things we're doing are behind the paywall. So this is a great time to be a patron. Who's going to tell people how to do that?
You already know I'm in here to tell y'all to get about it. Supporter level, you guys, we definitely appreciate you. We are dropping stuff for you also. You get the early access as well. Jayson Jones live right now. So as soon as this live is over, if you want to go view the interview with Jayson Jones, you can go check that out, whether you are a supporter or a patron. Patron members, we got some more stuff coming your way soon on some film breakdown stuff. That Harsin film review is still up there for you all and all of our previous film reviews. But we do have some interesting film review content coming for you all very soon. So stay locked in with us, patrons. We appreciate it very much. $5.99 a month is going to get you there. Lee County Humane Society is where you can go to donate. 50% of everything that we get from that goes directly towards them. 50 cents on every dollar. That is in the About section of our YouTube and also on our website, thewarrapport.com. If you didn't win merch tonight, don't worry. You can go and purchase some of your own. I will be working on those Bama equals bum shirts. So we'll try to figure out if we can get those in here for you guys sometime soon. I am very interested in seeing, some guys sporting that one out there on the interwebs. Pictures of that coming once we get that out there. Thank you for the idea there, Chase. I might send you a free shirt just because you came up with the idea. But yeah, you can head over to the merch store. Again, that's thewarrapport.com. Click on the catalog to be able to see the entirety of what we have going on in that store. The Auburn Express is our podcast. Podcast exclusive content is dropping on there weekly for you all. We do have the Harsin interview part 1 is up on podcast right now. So if you want to be able to listen to that in transit or wherever you are showering, playing. So I know last year people were talking about they would go and cut grass while they're listening to stuff. Hey man, tis the season for cutting grass. So the podcast is right there with you if you want to be able to do that. Shouts out to one of our sponsors here again, rogueshop.com. Use code POUR if you want to be able to get a little sum off of your herbal supplement needs in that area. And as mentioned earlier, since we are talking about basketball, it definitely happened. We definitely have a t-shirt that says it. Virginia double dribbled, and they will never live down their disgrace
Bums
in that moment.
Asterisk championship.
Exactly.
Virginia, you double dribbled. All right. Now, we need you to help us out, guys. We need you to help us with our engagement, help us with our exposure. You're part of the War Rapport family. Let's invite other people into our family by sharing our videos on social media. Again, the exposure matters a lot, as Mike G alluded. People see it, then they see videos. It begins to get people curious about what we're putting out there. So definitely do your part with that. Also, guys, before you get out of here, help us with our engagement by liking our videos. Get the thumbs up on the video and be sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. If you want to interact with us, guys, we're pretty much on everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, at The War Rapport. You can also find us at TW Rapport on TikTok. That's it for now, guys, but we have a lot of content coming your way in the next few days. We'll see you on the weekend live show, but until then, enjoy the rest of your week. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.